Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're getting straight to the heart of what is, without a doubt, the biggest rivalry in the auto industry right now. The epic clash between Tesla and BYD.
And this isn't just about who sells more cars. We're talking about a fundamental battle between two completely different ways of building a company.
Exactly. So we've gone through all the sources, the financials, the technical teardowns, and our mission today is to really unpack how these two giants work, and more importantly, figure out why one of them just pulled ahead.
Our mission is laser-focused. We're going to analyze their core strategies, everything from supply chains to batteries to how they're approaching autonomous driving.
Because these are the things that explain the big headline from 2025.
Well, one that changed everything.
That's right. The moment BYD officially seized the global battery electric vehicle sales crown.
And the numbers, they're just staggering. BYD sold 2.26 million BEVs in 2025.
2.26 million.
And Tesla, they were way back at 1.63 million. But here's the really critical part for you to understand. Tesla's sales actually fell, down 9% year over year.
Yeah, and a big part of that, according to the sources, was the withdrawal of some of those key U.S. EV subsidies. It really hit their pricing.
It did. But what's so fascinating is that this isn't just a numbers game. It's a clash of corporate DNA. You've got BYD, this pragmatic, vertically integrated giant on one side.
Making almost everything themselves.
And then you have Tesla, this software-focused pioneer that, sees itself almost more like a tech company.
It really makes that old jab from Elon Musk. Remember that? When he called BYD just a battery factory.
Oh, I do. And now BYD's volume has basically served as the ultimate comeback. It's like they're saying, okay, maybe we are, but we're selling a whole lot of cars around that battery.
That sets the stage perfectly. So let's start right there with that foundational difference. The supply chain. How can two companies in the same industry have such radically different approaches to just building stuff?
It all comes down to control versus flexibility. BYD's model is what we call deep vertical integration.
Okay, so what does that actually mean in practice?
It means they are incredibly asset heavy. They own and operate almost the entire production line. The research shows they make about 75% of all their parts in-house.
75%. So we're talking batteries, motors.
Oh, way more than that. The really critical part is they make their own semiconductors, their own power control chips. The really high demand stuff. They even have stakes in lithium mines.
So they control the raw materials too. It's maximum stability, minimum cost. They've just cut out all the middlemen.
Exactly. And that became a massive advantage when the global chip shortage hit a few years back. Everyone else was scrambling, but BYD just kept building cars.
Right. Okay, so now let's contrast that with Tesla. They went for a much more asset-light model, which let them scale up super fast, right?
So right. Tesla focuses its own resources on things where they think they have a unique edge. So software, obviously, battery pack assembly, but not usually the cells themselves.
They get those from suppliers like Panasonic and CATL.
And of course, their supercharger network. Their whole game is about efficiency gains through clever design, not necessarily owning every single factory.
And the absolute poster child for that has to be gigacasting. That's just fascinating stuff.
It really is. With gigacasting, they take one massive aluminum casting, and it replaces what used to be like 70 different stamped and welded parts.
70 parts into one.
Yeah. It just slashes complexity, manufacturing time, labor costs. So while BYD controls costs through ownership, Tesla gets its efficiency through design simplification.
So for you, the listener, the big takeaway here is that when supply chains get messy, BYD is incredibly resilient. They're just insulated from it all.
Whereas Tesla, historically at least, has been more vulnerable. Their simpler designs help them recover faster, but they're still at the mercy of their suppliers.
Okay, so let's move from the bones of the car to the brain. Because the way these two companies think about driver assistance, it's a completely different philosophy. And BYD just came out with a system with a, let's say, a slightly dramatic name, God's Eye.
Yeah, the name is pretty ambitious, but the strategy behind it is actually incredibly pragmatic. They've built this system to be scalable across their entire lineup.
Even on the cheap cars, like the little Seagull.
Even on the Seagull, that's the key. They're using a very classic sensor-heavy approach. They want redundancy.
What are they packing into that base system then?
So the entry-level version, God's Eye C, it's already a level 2 system. It's got 12 cameras, 5mm wave radars, and 12 ultrasonic radars.
Wow, that's a lot of hardware for an entry-level car.
It is. And when you move up to their higher-end cars, they start adding LiDAR. One sensor, then 3 sensors on the top-end models, which gets them to what's considered SAE Level 3.
Okay, quick reminder for our listeners. Level 2 means the car drives, but you have to be ready to take over instantly. Level 3 is that huge leap where, under specific conditions, you can legally take your attention off the road.
Exactly. And the tech is serious. The front radars can see 300 meters out, the processing power. They measure it in TOPS, which is trillions of operations per second. The base system starts at 100 TOPS and goes all the way up to 600. It's just a staggering amount of computing power.
So now you contrast that multi-sensor, redundancy-first approach with Tesla's FSD, which has become known as the camera-only gamble.
A huge gamble.
Yeah.
Tesla's FSD is still stuck at level 2, and that's because it relies almost entirely on its cameras. They made this really controversial decision to get rid of radar back in 2021.
And now the ultrasonic sensors are gone too in the newer models.
Yep. They're betting the entire farm on pure computer vision and AI to figure everything out from video feeds alone.
And that bet, it's generated some pretty serious turbulence, hasn't it?
It really has. I mean, the research we looked at casts a lot of doubt on this camera-only approach. There was one study that noted Tesla actually has the highest crash rate of any major automaker's ADS.
And then there were the regulatory issues.
Right. Reports from the California DMV citing claims of false advertising about what FSD can actually do. It seems that going for simplicity has come at the expense of that critical redundancy.
It's just a massive philosophical divide. And BYD, it seems, is throwing incredible resources behind its approach.
The scale of their R&D is mind-boggling. They have 110,000 engineers. 5,000 of them work only on intelligent driving.
5,000.
And get this. Their ADS training mileage, that's the real-world data their AI learns from, was 72 million kilometers per day.
Per day.
Per day. That shows you how serious they are about catching up, and fast.
All right, let's dive into the technological heart of the EV now, the battery cell. This is where cost and performance really collide, and the teardown studies show two completely different worlds.
This is the battery battlefield, and it perfectly sums up their business models. On one side, you have BYD championing their Blade battery.
Okay, so what is that?
It's a very long, flat, prismatic cell, and the chemistry is lithium iron phosphate, or LFP. For BYD, the priorities are crystal clear: safety, a long lifespan, and above all, cost.
But LFP has always been the cheaper, safer option. But it comes with a trade-off, right? Less range.
That's right. The energy density is lower, around 160 watt-hours per kilogram. But that big, flat shape is great for stability and getting rid of heat.
Which means you don't need such a complex, expensive cooling system.
Exactly. It's perfect for a mass-market car. And the key number here is that in raw material costs, the Blade is about 10 euros per kilowatt hour cheaper than Tesla's cell.
So it's like comparing a super reliable, cheap-to-run work truck with a highly tuned performance machine.
That is the perfect analogy. And that performance machine is the Tesla 4680 cell.
Right, a big cylindrical cell with a much more energy-dense chemistry.
They use NMC 811 chemistry. The whole point is to max out energy density for a long range and high performance. They get up to 241 watt-hours per kilogram.
But all that power in a small space.
Yeah.
That has to create a serious heat problem.
A huge one. The studies show the 4680 cell generates 2.3 times more heat per volume than the BYD Blade cell.
2.3 times.
Yeah, and that means Tesla absolutely must engineer these very advanced, very complex, and therefore very expensive cooling systems into their battery packs just to keep them safe.
So the strategies hold up perfectly. BYD's Blade is all about cost and safety for high-volume, affordable cars.
While Tesla's 4680 is the benchmark for premium, long-range, high-performance EVs, it's a perfect snapshot of their place in the market.
Okay, so with all that strategy defined, we have to look at the bottom line, the financial scorecard. How did these different paths actually translate into dollars and cents in 2024, right before BYD took that sales crown?
The 2024 financials tell the whole story. So let's start at the top line. Revenue. BYD actually leads here just slightly. $107.1 billion versus Tesla's $97.7 billion.
Okay, but the really telling number is the growth rate.
Exactly. BYD's revenue grew by 29%. Tesla's, just 1%.
That 29%, that's clearly all those affordable models flooding the market in Asia and Europe. But what about profit margins? How efficient are they?
This is interesting. If you look at gross profit margin, BYD is still ahead. 19.4% versus 17.9% for Tesla.
And that's the vertical integration paying off.
That's it right there. They control their input costs for batteries and chips, so they make more money on the actual hardware they sell.
Okay, but this is where it gets really fascinating. Because once you factor in everything else, Tesla looks way more profitable.
They absolutely do. When you get down to net profit, Tesla wins. $7.1 billion versus BYD's $5.7 billion. And their net profit margin is much better too, 7.3% versus 5.35%.
Okay, that's a huge difference, especially since BYD sold so many more cars.
Yeah.
So why is Tesla keeping so much more of every dollar that comes in?
The answer is two words: software and credits. Tesla's higher net margin comes from things like FSD subscriptions, over-the-air software updates. Those things are almost pure profit. That's about 18% of their gross profit right there.
And the regulatory credits,
And the credits, which they sell to other car makers. BYD, on the other hand, still makes almost all its money from the one-time hardware sale.
which brings us to the final, absolutely staggering metric.
It is the key number to take away from all this. In 2024, for every single car they delivered, Tesla made about $4,583 in net profit.
$4,500. And BYD?
Just $1,400.
Wow, that just lays the two strategies bare. Volume versus profit.
Precisely. BYD maximizes market share with affordable hardware. Tesla maximizes profit with premium pricing and software.
So let's wrap this up. What does this all mean for the future? We have these two totally different paths, and now BYD has the volume crown. Where do they go from here?
Well, what we have are two incredibly successful but completely different blueprints for how to win in the EV era. Tesla is all about the cutting-edge tech experience, monetized through software.
And BYD is about cost-effective, reliable transportation, built on a foundation of total production independence.
And the sources we looked at have some clear strategic advice for both of them, pointing right at their weaknesses.
Right. For BYD, it's pretty obvious.
It's all about software. They have to close that high-margin technology gap with Tesla, that $3,000 profit difference per car. That's almost all software opportunity.
And for Tesla, the advice is almost the opposite. They need to learn a lesson from BYD.
Exactly. They should probably consider bringing more production in-house, beyond just gigacasting, to protect themselves from those supply chain shocks that BYD just sails right through.
So it really sounds like the winning formula in the long run has to be a hybrid of the two. You need BYD's manufacturing muscle combined with Tesla's software genius.
That seems to be the inevitable direction.
Which leaves us with the really big, provocative question for the future and for you to think about. Now that we know their strengths and weaknesses, who is better positioned to get the piece they're missing? Can BYD's hardware engineers learn software mastery faster? Or can Tesla's software gurus learn deep manufacturing integration faster?
That is the real battle to watch. It's going to define the next decade of this industry. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive.
And make sure you follow the channel so you never miss our next one. We'll see you then.